What is up, Overwatch community? Welcome to Watchpoint, the show where we're going to talk about everything Overwatch related. And, Blizzard seems to be on time for us pretty much every other week, if not every week. They have just recently released new patch notes for this week of beta. We're going to take a look at that. But first, let me introduce our hosts once again, Yiska,
Hello.
and our lovely editor, Volcha.
Hello.
And so, it's kind of perfect. We are kind of going to talk about, like the Jeff Kaplan interviews, some of the competitive stuff. But this is breaking news for us, so we can go over this, especially because it concerns our lovely Bastion and Torbjörn. Just going to start at the top right now, just with the miscellaneous. Let's see. Completed a tuning pass for end of match accommodations. I'm guessing that has to do with who gets, the cards. And I don't know if that has to do with play of the game, because I know play of the game is really messed up right now as far as some of the people in game have been saying. They might be testing, excuse me, they might be testing like healing or reses playing into the game, because I've been seeing Zenyatta's get play of the game for no reason. So increases cooldown on using voice lines. Oh, come on. I wanted to, to spam. Did somebody smell peanut butter?
I think what the first change means, I'm not sure if that's actually included in some other part of the patch notes, but there's new cards now.
Oh, like
So,
new descriptions for the cards?
yeah, there's a card, like, apparently I didn't know as much about the game as I thought did, so I'm going to be extra careful here. But I think there's a new card where you get a card for having 4 gold medals or something, or 3 gold medals.
That's sick.
That is new, right?
I've never seen that, and I've gotten plenty of gold medals.
It
Okay,
happens when you pay Torbjörn, right?
Yeah, totally.
Nice
You just sit there. But let's get into the hero balance changes. So Bastion, configuration recon, maximum weapon spread decreased by 25%. So that's just in his human mode. For people who don't know what recon meant, it is going to be his machine gun is just going to spread less, like 76's spread is. I don't think that's. It makes him better, but I don't think that's anything too crazy, because I don't really know if you're going to use recon for fighting unless you have to, unless you're like pressured to move and you just need to run away. Configuration Sentry no longer gains any armor bonus. This is ridiculous. This is something that we can talk about a bit, because last cast I suggested that, maybe 150 armor be shaved off, because he is a little bit too tanky in Sentry mode. But they just went off and were like, okay, nope, no armor.
He was shaved off, just like Jeff Kaplan's beard was shaved off.
Mm-hmm.
Completely, not just trimmed, but just completely naked.
Clean shaven. I think that kills Bastion. Except for in rare cases. He basically is like a level 4 Torbjörn turret. Like,
That's a good way to put it, I guess.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how it works with his healing change from before the beta break. But yeah, it sounds like he's not going to be viable for, comp play and probably most of pub play. He sounds like he's going to be kind of squishy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think we're going to talk about this later in the show, but there were applications in comp play for Bastion. And I think you could make a case that actually, like, the application we're probably going to talk about actually got better, because now his DPS is pretty sick. And
he's more damaged.
If he's protected in some way, then there might still be an option, right? Also, if your team already has pressure, then obviously Bastion just finishes the job, right?
Yeah.
So while it's probably like he's tombstoned for pub play, pretty sure, like other than absolute noob play where they ignore Bastion and he can just mow down people, right?
Or, I guess maybe in like pickup games, like, you go in with like 3 people or something, because, correct me if I'm wrong, it's if you have 3 or less, it's singles and, 3 or less people. It's all random. But if you're 4 or more, it's always going to group you with 4 or more. Is that correct? That's what I've heard.
I don't know if that's correct. I've seen some. I've been solo queued and gone up against pre-mades,
Really?
and my team didn't have three or more on their team. Yeah.
I could be
I
wrong.
think I think what's a given is if you're full pre-made, you're most of the time only meeting full pre-mates.
They
Okay.
might like heavily weigh the MMR towards that type
Yeah.
of match.
Yeah.
Okay, so then just I could just be getting false information. All changes to bullet damage made in our February 9th beta patch have been reverted. So I didn't know exactly what this meant, but for the people who like me, Yiska, you wanna elaborate a bit on exactly what was the difference?
Well, I can't give you specific numbers. I would have to look it up, but basically the damage is much increased. There's way less spread on the weapon now. So even the longest ranges, if you just press through it, you will probably hit. For instance, what I tried just now in a private match was have a Roadhog stand at the maximum distance you basically have in Overwatch, and then I just click down on his belly, and well, let's say like with all the shots, like the entire mag, 200 shots, I think it is, I could potentially kill Roadhog. When that was basically impossible with the old spread, simply because it would be all over the place at that distance. And let's be clear, like the distance I took was King's Row from the spawn point, like on the right side of the bus, there's a little niche, and then all the way down to behind the capture point. So that's basically the biggest distance there is, I think, right? And for that, it was still quite accurate.
So I did look up real quick. I did look up the February 9th patch while you were talking. And so the way that this is worded, it says weapon spread decreased by 20% for the previous patch. Weapon spread decreased by 20%. Weapon reload speed decreased from 2.5 to 2, and bullet damage decreased by 33%. But if you going off the wording of the most recent today's patch, all changes to bullet damage made in the previous patch have been reverted. Does that mean that it's not the spread? It's just the 33% damage?
The damage, yeah.
So all he got was they took off the 33% decreased damage. So his spread isn't affected, I don't think.
It sounds like what they're trying to do is make him more of like an ambush type. Ambush isn't the right word. Surprise defense. Like he could burst down hard attackers and then reposition to some other spot that's unexpected. Do it again, because they've upped his recon mode so that he's a little bit more viable there. So he's still kind of chunky and can take give out some damage. It'll be interesting to see how that works. I mean, in pub play, I don't think many people are going to really do that. That they really like to just like sit on the elevator on Hollywood, go up and down and just spray, or just go max range and spray down a hallway, or a choke.
I think this is really going to make you need to protect your Bastion.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, like what I also tried was, what happens if I'm Bastion, I set up in sentry mode around a corner and a Roadhog peeks me. And he actually wins that fight. There's no way he's not going to win that fight, right? His DPS and his survivability allow him to survive 2 shots, basically, while the third shot, there's no way Roadhog is going to get that out. He obviously, like, we didn't try what happened if he pulled. That's obviously there Roadhog wins, but just to describe, even in close range, he's not out-damaged by a Roadhog by a huge margin. And then when he killed Roadhog, there's still 150 shots left in his mag, right? So if you can keep him alive, Jesus Christ, he's doing a shitload of damage still.
He's a riot fire hose, it sounds like.
Yeah. It just seems like to me that they really, like you said, Roadhog's gonna be able to kill him. Genji, who had a little bit of trouble because of the armor, is going to be able to kill him super easy. Things like, obviously, like a McCree. I was using McCree a lot just because the gun is so accurate. You can just pop shots. He's going to be dead. It just doesn't seem like Bastion can do much against people who can see him from a distance, as far as, or people like, he has like a range from super far away and super close. He's just gonna die. And there's that medium range where, yeah, he could shine, but he's gonna need a Winston shield. He's gonna need Torbjörn and Symmetra armor to even, I mean, have some survivability.
I might even try tonight. I haven't tried Bastion at all tonight, but I might even try the whole reposition after each push thing to see how that does, because that might be fun.
Yeah,
that might be a good substitute for having a dedicated Winston shield or a Reinhardt, babysitting my face. But yeah, I want to try that out. It actually sounds like kind of a fun change to me.
Okay.
But it sounds very fragile overall.
Yeah. Hopefully the boost in damage he's going to get, because you can already kind of tear people apart if they're squishy. But the thing that I'm afraid of, though, as a Reinhardt player, is Reinhardt's shield is just going to be gone. Like, if you do not get rid of a Bastion, you will not have a shield as a Reinhardt. Like, it already evaporates. And with that 33% more damage, there's no point. Like, you should not just peek a Bastion with a Reinhardt shield up unless he's immediately going down. But to move on, D.Va is up next. D.Va's mech is no longer move or aim locked after being called down. I don't know exactly what this means. Does that mean like there's a pause time to where she can move and aim? Does that make sense?
I'm not sure, but I think what it means is you can't move anything during the animation. When it calls down, she hops in and then it boots up. Maybe they allowed you to move around while it's like she's hopping in and booting up, or just during the boot up. I don't know.
No, that's the opposite of what you're thinking. It's no longer move or aim locked. It was aim and move locked.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Now, well, maybe I worded it poorly, but yeah, now you can move while it's booting up. Maybe.
Okay. That could be it.
Yeah.
Self-destruct. Ultimate charge now generates passively, even when D.Va is dead or her mech is destroyed. Because previously, if you're getting charge while you're in pilot, is what they call D.Va by yourself, you're just getting charge for calling down a mech. So now you're getting charges for both.
Yes. And I always thought that was the case.
Yeah.
Because that is what makes sense, right?
Yeah.
But I also didn't play a lot of D.Va.
I played D.Va a lot because I don't know, she seems like an aggressive tank to me, kind of like in the similarity of like Roadhog. But you do get stuck in pilot mode a lot, and then when you get into your mech, you're kind of just starting off fresh like you just spawned. So it's good. Call mech ultimate cost decreased by 20%. I do not know what the cost was before, but it doesn't matter as far as
she could call mechs pretty quick. If she got her pistol shoots pretty fast. It's not.
Yeah.
It's pretty good weapon. And if she just spams down a hallway and she hits someone like I don't know how many times, not a lot, she could usually call down a mech.
Yeah,
so that's a big change.
Yeah, you just lob shots and you should be able to get it, but it's going to get her back out of the pilot form because while her pistol's good and she can do decently well at like dueling, maybe a Mercy, maybe I don't even know if a Symmetra, you might die to the Void Ray. But it helps her get out of that fragile state faster.
I could see her being pretty damn annoying and frustrating to deal with this change because she's basically going to be healing herself up, kind of like a Roadhog in some ways, pretty reliably.
She's going to be casting. She's going to be casting more ults in mech, and then she's going to be able to get back into that mech faster, and then going to be throwing them out. You're going to see a lot more D.Va bombs. May. Endothermic Blaster, alternate fire ammo cost decreased from 50 to 40. So that means that instead of 4 shots for her Icicle, she gets 5 shots because she has 200 total.
Yep.
That's really good. She can. I don't really think you need to like I don't think I've ever seen people just lobbing shots, but
True, yeah.
I think what it helps is when you freeze somebody and then you shoot them in the head, you're going to have more of your freeze left after that
Exactly.
instead of reloading.
Yeah. It also helps, like, there's some characters that can be quite pesky to freeze. So you often end up in a situation where you are, like, slightly below 50, where you now can't one-shot the person by clicking on the head. And you have to melee and just squeeze out the rest of your mag, right?
Yeah.
This happens less frequently, but yeah.
Yeah, it's going to help her out a lot. May is, I've seen her do well in pubs, but I don't know. As far as the games that I've watched for competitive, I haven't really seen her that much.
I was surprised. That's a different topic for later, I guess, comp talk. But yeah, I didn't see her at all in any of the tournaments.
But it's
I
nice
thought she was going to show up, but she didn't.
I thought she would be showing up in the King of the Hill maps that would pop up, because she seems really good for that. That's like kind of her tailor-made specialty, but no.
Also because Genji is running rampant, and maybe like it feels like to me at my level of play that she is quite good against Genji. And now that Genji is basically shitting on everyone, like you would think that she would have at least a place in some niche comp, but you didn't see her at all. And I kind of tasted, the bold predictions, and I wanted to get more of it. So I went, I bold predicted that Melty was going to play it, because I played them a bunch on MM, or not MM, but Quick Match.
Yeah.
And they always played one gatekeeper May that just stood on the point, which was quite interesting to me. Maybe they were just doing it for footage or something.
Yeah.
But I thought they were genuinely trying it. Apparently not. Or maybe they did, and
maybe they're
just
still testing.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Okay, this is a decent one. We did talk about this last podcast because I did not know that you could do this as Mercy, because I'm not a Mercy player. But Guardian Angel, you can no longer target the souls of dead allies. That really limits her maneuverability.
Yeah, it does a lot, yeah. And not a lot, but yeah, it's noticeable.
I'm going to go talk a little bit about, I guess, comp again, because there was actually an instance in the NA tournament where was it Melty versus Eccentric on Hanamura, the last push, where they were doing the Torbjörn drops. I mean, not Torbjörn, Bastion type drops, where the Mercy, the defending Mercy, you targeted a dead ally, flew in off of like the balcony, because she was getting away from a Genji, and she was like way off, not healing anybody. She was like, get me the fuck out of here. I got a res, whatever. So she was way off, and then her team died, and it looked like she targeted a dead ally, flew down, and immediately resed them. And that saved them the 10 seconds that they needed to get that win and get the sweep.
And so I'm reading these they have like a little developer comments after every change. And the reason that they said that they did it was for exactly what you just said, so that they can get to dead allies to be able to use that res if they died and they're coming back to the team, or if the whole team died and they're off with a select team member and they want to get to the group. But they said that a lot of feedback from players was that they accidentally targeted a dead ally when they meant to target someone living, and that they targeted a dead ally thinking it was a living ally. Okay. What?
This never happened to me. Mercy is still my second most played character. Never, I didn't even think about this being a possibility or at all confusing me in that way.
If you've ever played a game of Overwatch, everyone is consistently moving. Like so. All over the place. If you see someone on the ground that you can target and they're standing still, the fact that there's a dead body, there's a glowing gold soul above them, and they're not moving, you would never think this if you are a regular Mercy player, ever. I don't even play Mercy, and I get that.
It might be like a stacking type issue, a visual stacking type issue.
Yeah.
Like there's a problem right now with Zenyatta, where like hit E, just send the orb flying, and it's gigantic, and you can't see anything. You can't exactly see who you're targeting. Maybe, especially when they're stacked. So maybe it's like a visual problem that they should address instead of remove as an ability.
I still don't get it. Like, what's the problem? You can't heal the soul. Like, it's not taking your healing stream, right?
Yeah. You
So
can't click
what's
it.
the problem? Like, it's also not intrusive into your healing beam, so it's not like it makes you so you can't heal the ally that's standing behind the soul. So I don't get it, and especially like if this is a problem, then fix it like cosmetically or in the UI in some way. Make it obvious, make it a different color. Yeah. But why would you do this? Like, why would you do this obvious balance change to the character for UI purposes?
What do you think about, you know how when allies are low health, they have like a red, like it's not a square, it's like a rhombus or whatever it's called. And it has like a cross, like a red heart in it. Or not a red heart, a red cross. What if they put something simple like a skull and crossbones instead of the red X for a dead ally member? If you can't see the visual clutter or not clutter, the visual like gold representation because your graphics are turned down, you can just see a little tiny red X or a black X over somebody's head. Something simple. I think this change really hurts Mercy. Not, she's not going to be not picked or something, but it was a fun thing that Mercy players can do. Mobility is always awesome. I mean, Genji is amazing to play. And I feel like it does hurt Mercy a bit. Nothing crazy hurting, but it does hurt her.
Yeah.
I haven't tried Mercy with the targeting a dead ally before. Is the like target really like disgustingly big? Like, is that the problem? So like you can't target an ally, so like perhaps you'd undershoot by targeting the soul? It's not that big of a deal?
I don't think so. I'm trying to think of like, I'm trying to, give it the benefit of the doubt for the people who do it on accident, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's just so weird to me.
I think the only ways where it would ever be relevant is, for instance, if you have a long corridor, which doesn't happen a lot in Overwatch, and you accidentally don't get to the person that's like at the very back of the corridor, and you instead shift to the one in front because the soul is blocking your view. But let's be honest, when does that ever happen in the map layout of Overwatch? It doesn't happen often. Like it's not a big game impact. Maybe you lose like a meter or two, like a character length, but I don't know. Like, I don't think it was a big issue, and especially because like this is also annoying for pub play. Yeah. So now I get annoyed. Like, there is in every MOBA, I think there's this mechanic where if a teammate is next to you, you can blink onto them. There's some mechanic like this in pretty much every MOBA, and you get visibly mad at teammates for not providing this jump to you.
Yeah.
Right? So, for instance, if I'm playing Brightwing in Heroes of the Storm and I have the blink ultimate, and the guy is not giving me an escape route, I'm always pissed, right? And this was actually a nice way to kind of circumvent that issue by simply having the soul there, and then I don't have to get upset by him that he basically ate the randomly shot Junkrat shots like a diabetic at McDonald's, right? I can just pop on his corpse, be out of there, like be my own diabetic, and I don't know. It's
my thing is how the hell are you gonna be those like? How are you gonna be able to perform those like 4-man resurrections now?
Yeah, if you get like a big wipe, how are you going to get to the wipe spot if you're Mercy? Because you're always going to be trying to be just out of range of like the horse shit. So
before you could peek a corner, fly to him, and spam your Q button as fast as possible. Now you're just going to have to like, hold on, guys, let me walk up to my pile of dead bodies.
Yeah, I got high heels on, so I walk a little funny and take a little while. So yeah.
I mean, four-man heals, that these are a myth. These are unicorns in the wild, man.
Hey man, I've seen them in competitive play.
Yeah, competitive, that's fine. That's not like, not everyone is, again, running around like headless chicken and
Yeah.
like checking out the map corner and the art like on Nepal or something, and you know where everyone should be focused on the objective, and you're like first with 5 seconds on the point as Mercy. After you're like, dude, like four-man rises. I'm super happy if I get 2 nowadays. Like,
All right, we can stop harping on Blizzard. That needs to be changed back. Torbjörn, turret bullet damage decreased, from 16 to 14. Turret repair amount decreased from 100 to 50 health per swing. This is a good change, but it will kill the turret. Like,
rip.
Yeah.
Done, dude. That's the fucking pile driver, dude. Like, I don't care about all the other changes. This kills him. Like, I just tried it with Farah shooting at the turret, and if Torbjörn is perfectly timing his repairs, it's 4 rockets to the turret just on point, and it's dead. He can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
I can even, like, as Farah, I can stupidly face tank it. Like, I can out DPS the turret and kill it before the turret kills me, even if Torbjörn is repairing it. So that's done.
It's like it's the same thing with Bastion. I feel like you're gonna have to hide it. Like, it's gonna have to be like a surprise, and then even if I get like 1 hit off on it, he's gonna have to pop Molten Core or it's dead.
Yeah.
Yep.
And to be honest, now actually I feel like, and that's also why they're targeting the gun, like the rivet gun maximum ammo decreased from 20 to 18, and alternate fire cost decreased from 5 to 3. Now, actually, a best action isn't to not repair your turret, but instead to engage with the enemy and also shoot while your turret shoots.
Mm-hmm.
Because repairing doesn't help anymore, right?
I mean, I know.
I guess it would be something you would do after a push if it happens to be still up, you know? Yeah. Oh, I'll repair it. You know what? and save, what, like 5 seconds as opposed to, like, making a new turret, you know, in a new spot.
You want to change the angle anyway, right? For the surprise factor. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll just unbind repair from now on. Like, why would you need that?
Unbind the hammer.
Yeah, just take off the hammer. But I do, like, for people who just sit on their turrets, though, it's not the best course of action, but now you're kind of forced to do, like, the opposite. Go fight with Torbjörn. Because, surprisingly or not, his shotgun does a lot of damage.
Yeah, it seems really close. If you got to be really freaking close.
You got to be like kissing him.
Yeah, you got to be like nipple twist range to like really get a good damage on that thing.
I wonder why they're not going the route of creating some synergy between the turret and Torbjörn. For instance, let's say he would shoot like laser tracking arrows. So if you shoot a target and you successfully
arrows?
Yeah, like
out of anything you picked, arrows.
Yeah.
Okay.
He looks a little bit like Cupid, doesn't he?
A little bit, yeah.
And basically, if you shoot this turret into this arrow into someone, then the turret locks on, and it could potentially do a lot more damage, right? Mm-hmm. So then there's a skill component. You could also make that they don't fly as quickly, so like a projectile. But if you hit it, then there's guaranteed 200 damage if the person stays in range, right? And then you have created synergy between the turret and the character.
Using your example, instead of his primary fire, it's that like little glob. What if that was almost like a paintball, but lava? But it marked the target. So you could mark multiple targets and they could do multiple damage, but the turret would focus, like you said, on marked targets and do extra damage to those targets.
What you guys are describing is actually a mechanic in Team Fortress 2, very similar, called the Wrangler, which you have a laser gun and you point it, and that's where the turret points. And when you use it in that mode, it has a higher rate of fire, and it's It's directed by you, and it's pretty powerful. Not really for comp, but it's pretty good and fun, and it is synergy for the character. And it stops jiggle peeking like in its tracks because you can aim it right at that corner, and each time you see like a pixel pop out, you tell the turret to fire, and it'll suppress.
The only problem I had with the Wrangler was that you had to actually manually control it
Yeah,
rather than it being like a marking thing, so it would like immediately target. But
designate target and then like
yeah,
do your own thing. Yeah, I'd
yeah.
prefer that as a mechanic. I kind of wish for a change, since they were going for a nerf, they would have nerfed rebuild speed. I think like once you have your turret blown, there should be a cooldown before you could drop another turret. That to me was the most annoying and frustrating part of Torbjörn was you kill the turret, he could just crap another one out immediately and start like building it to level 2. Like immediately, as soon as it blows, he can like within the explosion put a turret down. And that seemed like the problem to me for the character. Not so much the repair speed, and that sort of thing.
Yeah. It was that like, all right, turret's down, let's go in. Oh, he has another turret up. We
Yeah.
die.
You had to kill the Torbjörn in that instance. I mean, if he's like in some like wacky spot on the map that's like really hard to get to unless you have like Winston or Genji, you pop the turret. You're like, let's move. He's just gonna make another turret immediately, and there's nothing you can do about it. You had to kill the Torbjörn and his turret in that case.
All right. So that's as far as balance changes go in the patches. So it is beta still. They're tweaking and tweaking and tweaking, and they're I think they're kind of sandbagging Bastion this patch. But maybe giving them a little bit more damage. We'll just see how it goes, and then they'll tweak it and tweak it. Nothing's set in stone. Don't you know?
I think basically what they did with this change is, okay, Bastion, they actually tried some changes where they think that he now can have applications. Torbjörn, they just ripped him. Like, they just said, okay, people are not enjoying this. Let's just take him, like, kind of out of the game. We can't delete him. Like, people have actually acquired legendary skins for him, like me. And so let's just shit on him. Like, let's just practically delete him from the game, and then build up on that. And that is also supported by the wording where they say Torbjörn's turns currently feel a little too powerful. So, and then in brackets, to start, we're taking away from some of their power, blah blah. Yeah. So to start, this is not the final product. And I think there's like, again, this is probably not an issue that you can fix with number tweaking, but more like with explanations, like, or ideas we had with the Wrangler type of thing, right? So,
Okay. So now bug fixes. This is something I wish I knew was in the game, because I am a very big, let's say, explorer in Blizzard games. I like to get out of the areas that they like us to be in, especially in WoW. But fixed several in-game locations in which it was possible to use Tracer's Blink ability to exit the intended play space. God, I wish I knew about this.
I mean, you can still do that with the Spectator client, right? Like, it seems to be the cool thing for everyone on Gibraltar, like for every caster to just fly out very far from Gibraltar. And I think it's actually quite cool because when I play, dude, I don't care about setups or how something looks. Like, I just look at the functionality of the map. I never realized that it was basically a rock in the middle of the ocean, like where this base is built in. And because it's a watch point, right? Like the center of the Overwatch, basically, right? Where they meet up and stuff. That's pretty cool. They just carved their base into a like gigantic rock in the ocean. That's pretty cool, right?
As far as I know, I haven't messed around with the Spectator client, but what you're describing is like if you're spectating like a CS:GO map and you go too far out, it just all goes to black and you can't see anything. But are you saying that like they built the map around it and there's stuff to see around it? That's super cool.
Yeah, you should
lighthouse
check it
and
out.
boats and
Yep.
Fix an issue when blue-colored effects would sometimes get stuck on the screen. I didn't ever see this. Fixed a crash that could happen when opening loot boxes. I did have that happen.
Hmm.
And fixed several client and server-side crashes. I had plenty of crashes. And heroes, fix an issue that caused Zenyatta to receive more credit than intended for a kill assist when determining play of the game. I did talk about that. Projectiles now appear to... Oh, this is in the spectating client, I'm sorry. Projectiles now appear to line up more correctly with targets when viewing a player in spectator mode.
Good.
So I'm guessing just the... just like rockets and stuff or something like that was off.
Well, they need to fix not only just projectiles, but hit scan, because for some reason lag compensation is not visible in spectator client. So, you know, you got a character here, and the player you're spectating is shooting here, and like it looks like crap, especially if you're watching some competitive scene. You're like, these guys, they suck at aiming, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, how are they missing by like a character length and a half, especially when you're watching like EU versus NA? And it makes it look bad, makes the players look bad, but I'm glad to see that they did something with projectiles. I don't know.
Okay. So that's it for the patch notes. Thank you, Blizzard, again, for the lovely script for us. Let's go ahead and talk about a little bit of our experience in the beta. This is second week for beta, so I know that you guys kind of wanted to talk about this a bit, so feel free to go ahead. Any big topics?
I guess I could talk about as I've been playing the game more, I've started noticing a lot more like problems with like hit detection, and I guess the layman's term would be netcode, where, you know, you go around a corner and you die, or you activate an ability and you die, and the ability goes off but you still die. You know, I've played a lot of games where this is kind of present and kind of an accepted thing. Team Fortress 2 is pretty common to be sniping and get counter-sniped while you're behind a wall, you know, trying to duck a shot. But it seems like in Overwatch, it's really sticky, and it feels kind of bad. And it took me a little while to catch on. At first, I was just like blown away and like wow, this game is amazing. But it's starting to feel a little strange. I'm noticing.
Like beta?
Well, I don't know. I don't know, like really loose pants and socks that like the elastics have broken off and they just kind of slide down your leg. It kind of feels like that.
Okay. One of the things I'll mention from this, as a Roadhog player, I take so much advantage in this. So much. Hooking around corners, hooking over buses and stuff like that. You can just like, you can throw a hook straight forward and then look this way, and the hook will just like curve.
Yeah.
And I've caught so many people around corners, and then it just pulls them through, or tracers who blink, and then my hook attaches to them, and then where they blinked, so it like pulls them in front of me from behind me. Like ridiculous stuff.
The one that sticks out in my mind is I was playing McCree, and this happened I think it was 3 times in this match, where I was McCree and there was a 76, and I kept watching, like holding down a hallway, and I knew he was coming. I flashbanged him, and I would get helix rockets in the face, like after he was flashbanged, and I was like fanning him, gonna kill him, and then like I died. I'm like, what happened? And it kept happening. Yeah, I don't know what they can do about that.
Yeah, it basically forces the play to be more about prediction play than reactionary play, right? Mm-hmm. So, for instance, you could potentially really align your blinks as Tracer to the bow strings pulled by Hanzo, for instance, right? So you see the bow being strung, and then you just immediately blink. Currently, you just get crapped on, right? And that's very frustrating. And like that, I get into these arguments with people who say, "Well, it's fair. It's fair. It's the same experience for everyone." Dude, like, it's the same experience for everyone in the sense that if you want to play soccer with a guy missing a leg, should I be cutting my own leg off, dude? Like,
Yeah.
it obviously shifts also a little bit the strengths of characters, where
Yes.
you rely on reaction time much more, and I think that's also a big reason holding Tracer back right now, right? And I think one thing that's very noticeable is in every other FPS game, the person who has the high ping is punished, or not every other, but that's the way it should be. If your ping is high, you should be punished for that. And currently, I feel like the advantage is on the side of the person with a high ping.
Have you been? Oh, go ahead.
Because of the lag compensation. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a second topic, but have you, either of you guys, noticed hitboxes being not where they belong?
In what sense?
Like, this is something I want to test for, so I'm not sure, but when I play Hanzo and like I fire an arrow, I'm like, there's no way that arrow is gonna hit. It doesn't feel like a hit. You know, I pull it, I'm like, oh no, yeah, bad shot, and it hits, and it shouldn't hit. And it feel like maybe that's lag compensation happening. And there's also been shots where I feel like they should have hit that don't hit.
Yeah, I think it might boil down to lag compensation. I don't know if that has to do with hitboxes. We would have to do some crazy debugging and testing to get that type of information.
Usually in like FPS games, it's true to the model. You know, it's kind of like client-side based.
Yeah.
It might be that Overwatch has a different system of it where like hitboxes aren't lining up with player models that you're viewing. I don't know.
It also depends on how their hitboxes are, I'll say, molded around the the sculpt, the sculpture of the hitboxes themselves. If they're really blocky, or if I think it's been almost a year now since CS:GO did the hitbox update. And I know that they smoothed out a lot of the textures as far as the hitboxes go, made them less blocky and like squarey. And after that, everyone was like, what the hell? I can't hit my shots. Was because they were less like square figures and they were more like real bodies.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if Blizzard has like gone that in depth with their hitboxes yet, and how realistic and how cartoony they want to go with the like as far as like the shooting element of it goes.
Mm-hmm.
I think what's very noticeable for me, especially when I see Hanzo players or play Hanzo myself, it feels like if I'm shooting in the upper body region, it will always be headshot. Doesn't matter if it's the shoulder, doesn't matter if it's like over the body a little bit.
Oops.
Like they just have like a 2x4 for a head.
Yeah. So like I would be, I don't know if that's actually the hitboxes already lag compensation. I expect it to be the later.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I'm undecided either, because there have been shots that like a tracer will be rushing me, blinking towards me, and the shot will go like right like by the ear and it doesn't hit. But a Roadhog will be like way off in the distance. I'll fire it. It'll hit him like, you know, down in the chest almost, and it'll be a headshot. So and he's like running towards me, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe that's just me, but my main characters right now are Reinhardt, Winston, Roadhog, Genji on attack, and McCree. So I don't really, maybe besides McCree, I don't have to deal with that, I guess is the simplest way to put it.
In some ways, Genji, right?
Yeah, Genji, but most of the time with Genji, I'm going after squishies and just throwing stars, running in and meleeing them. So.
Yeah, it's obviously there's like especially Tracer, and that's why I don't enjoy playing her right now. Like, it's also once you realize, okay, what Tracer currently does is more like distract and not really kill, unless you have her ultimate. Like if you're into killing, Tracer's not the hero for you, unless obviously for her ultimate.
She's just annoying as hell. She's like she's like a mosquito, basically.
Yeah. But that said, I have seen very sick Tracers. Like, it feels like I'm like looking at Tracer, and then I just randomly come across like a Twitch page, and it's always like some 2003 Quake World Champion or something, an A championship like QuakeCon something, like, and they play a pretty sick Tracer who has also kill potential, simply because they outskill me, and yeah, but I think given equal skill, she shouldn't have kill potential on most characters. It should just be a nuisance, something that two people have to take care of.
Yeah.
Right. So
I've actually been doing really well. I don't know if it has to do with the hook and like the lag and stuff like that, but I've been doing so well against Tracers with Roadhog. If you can catch them before they hit that E button, they're dead. They're just so squishy.
Yep.
But I'm trying to think of anything else. Now, I think you said, Vulture, that people were talking about, you know, starting up this, like, we're going to white knight the community and put out the toxic people. But I don't feel like I've seen that many toxic people.
I haven't seen too much toxicity. I mean, compared to other games, no, it's not too bad.
I think that's just the player count, maybe.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's something that the community should definitely be on the lookout for and kind of like discourage, especially content creators. Like, you know, if a streamer sees it happen, they should just jump on it, put their thumb on it, just to show the community, make a kind of an example. This is kind of like how the community feels about toxic horseshit that happens and gets brought up, because it does breed further toxicity. Someone makes someone else mad, they get mad and they take it out on someone else, and then before you know it, it becomes kind of acceptable to be an asshole in game. Like, people ain't gonna call you out, you know, it's just, that's what it is, the place to be an asshole. So yeah. I think it's something we should be looking out for and kind of discouraging as players, especially content creators should be definitely looking out for it.
The only thing that I've seen, though, is as far as not toxicity, it's the line between toxicity and like playful shit talking.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a competitive game. It's, you know, like, it's just, it creates competitiveness. People are, you know, talking shit and they're, you know, I'm better than you, you're better than me, blah blah. That's honestly, it's fine, quotes, you know, you can take it to that next level to make it toxic, and that's what people don't get. There is that, I don't know, there's a level, but also the thing that I don't want to lose is the thing that me and Yiska talked about previously, is that like people like Arteezy and people, you know, in competitive games who are just, they're shit talkers. That's what they do to become famous. And we don't need to be this like, we're the upstanding citizens of Overwatch and we don't talk shit and, you know, blah blah. But, you know, you don't need to be like League of Legends people, like going telling people that their mom should get cancer and stuff. It's just,
I guess what I'm talking about is, you know, if someone's having a bad game and they just lose their fucking shit and they just like go, goddamn fucking stupid team, and like it's kind of pissed and get pissed at everybody, or raging their balls off because like there's a Torbjörn, you know, like that shit. You know, I love trash talk, and I trash talk a lot, and I try to keep it to the point, like it's kind of ridiculous, so you kind of know it's not serious. You know, I would have to be like a mad person to be taking it serious. So yeah, I totally agree. Shit talk is cool. It's lively. It keeps the game going, and it keeps you engaged in the game, like emotionally. But like when, the raging at your teammates, raging about sorry,
phone ringing
again.
Yeah, I don't know. You have anything to say as far as shit talking goes?
I personally love it too. Like, I'm the reactionary shit talker. You will not hear me talk a lot in game unless someone like tries to get at me. And then, dude, like, there's very few pleasures in life better than, for instance, and that's why I hate the change in voice in CSGO between rounds. Like, there's always this guy, they're leading like 10-5, 11-4, and they're like shit talking you. And I'm like, dude, okay, let's sit up. Let's own some shit, right? And then, like, to win off of that position, that's godly ambrosia, dude.
That's exactly like the fun stuff. Is the guy's like, I'm gonna come and I'm gonna shit on you. You guys have no chance, blah blah. And you're like, all right, man. You keep talking that smack, and I'll put your face in the dirt. Like, that's cool. That's, bickering back and forth, getting, like the blood pumping. That makes it competitive. But when you're like, hey, I hope you fucking die, you piece of shit, and like, I hope your family gets cancer. It's like, dude, holy shit, it's a video game. Like, calm down. Or like the other day, I picked a Torbjörn with a Torbjörn on my team, and this guy is calling me, like homophobic slurs and all this shit like that. And I'm like, dude, it's beta. Like, calm down.
I guess a good rule of thumb is if you're raging at your opponents, there's a good chance that's okay. Oh, maybe like
in excess.
Yeah, not raging, but if you're talking shit at the opponent team, but if you're talking shit to your own team, that's when like you're 99% probably being just a straight up asshole and taking away from people's fun.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be like a white knight, but when people, they're like, I get frustrated. I'm not, some upstanding citizen. I get frustrated when people do bad. I get frustrated when like I see someone play like a Roadhog or something, and he's like missing all his hooks, and I'm like, dude, get off of Roadhog. Like, play another character. But I'm not gonna like sit there and be like, cussing him out and stuff because I think he's bad, because he's learning. We're not in like ranked. We're not on, playing a team game or something like that.
We're in a closed beta with no ranked that's free, given out by a game company. Like Jesus friggin' Christ, people.
I think we might be talking in circles a bit, so I want to move on. Let's look over some of the competitiveness that has been going on. There was a European tournament, but there was also an NA tournament with European teams in it.
Dominated. It's starting. Like this is the FPS scenes, like the MOBA scenes. I know this is Europe, baby. We're back. We're back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, okay, Envious hasn't played yet. Okay, I give you that. Maybe there's still the American hope. Yeah. Like maybe this for once could be an FPS title where you're not across the board shit. Talking about that trash talk, man.
You just wait, man. I think a lot of the teams though that are coming from Europe are good FPS teams, and they're all in beta. I just don't think an NA team has come across as being like, from the past, has been like, all right, we're gonna adapt to Overwatch. Yeah, it's all the European teams.
And it doesn't have good FPS teams from the past. Where are you going to get them from? Are you going to bring back Fatality, or no?
It might break. I'm hoping it breaks open a little bit more come when the game launches. I hoping to see some prodigies just sort of like drop from the sky, prodigy teams, and just start blasting the shit out of everybody.
You keep on that throne, man, but there's upsets about to happen. Like, it's gonna happen. BlizzCon. I'm betting upsets at BlizzCon.
Again, Envious is still my top team, which is an A team, so right.
It is kind of a pain, kind of awful how the NA team, there's like basically 2 good NA teams, and then all of Europe got a solid bench, a full bench of good teams. So
true, yeah.
They can compete against each other even on our tournaments and put on a good show.
That said, that was the case before the beta went down. Like, the top 2 NA teams actually also played each other in the European finals.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's kind of back and forth, but I think the NA scene is really hurt by the fact that Not Enigma, like his second best NA team, split up. And I would have thought they actually would have been better. Like the new Seagull team with Harblu and everyone, like those people also seem to have played more closely in TF2. So Harblu being his medic, like Seagull's medic, when he was probably one of the most dominant soldiers in TF2 history in NA.
Mm-hmm.
So, and now he's on Pharah, which is odd. I think it's fair to say that Seagull's teams experiment a little bit too much.
Yeah,
like they don't play the super standard stuff. It's mostly him Like, it's not the entire team, like, having one coherent strategy. It's mostly him, like, okay, let's see. Maybe I can play Hanzo here.
So you think it's like a 5 protect 1?
I mean, I think they just don't, like, haven't...
Just bad strategies?
Yeah, I don't think they have sat down and said, okay, let's try this in scrims. It's more like, okay, Seal saying, okay, I'm going to try this character in scrims, not really 100%ly understanding what the synergies are or which characters I want to, support my character. And I mean, he has the skills to be the star player and have the team built around him. Right?
They did have that crazy strat on El Dorado where they put the Bastion on the cart and they put the Reinhardt in front of the Bastion and then they damage boosted him with the Mercy. That was kind of like a wacky strat that worked out pretty good for him. I mean, it only got stopped once and it pretty much mowed the whole way.
Yep.
Stuff like that is why I think some FPS players, maybe not TF2, but FPS players are coming to the game and I don't even think competitive, just like random people who like FPS are coming to the game and they're thinking like, okay, I'm going to be this star player. I'm going to be like this guy doing the damage, blah, blah. And like you said, they're not thinking about like ultimates that go together, shields that go together, things like that. Like, okay, if we have a Zarya and I'm about to use my Death Blossom on a control point map, shield me first so I just won't die. Like, or things like Black Hole into a Genji sword. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's that like MOBA mentality of like stacking stuns and stacking shields. Like I watched yesterday, I watched pretty much all of the NA tournament that went on. And things like at control points, they just don't run Mercy. They run double Lucio because the drop the beat stack twice is ridiculous. Like, you just, in the speed boost and healing boost, the healing boost doesn't stack, but the speed boost helps you get back to the point, the double drop, and the healing. It's just amazing.
Yeah. It gives you basically 2 counters, because the way Lucio is commonly played is you hear an ult call out, or you predict that an ult is going to come, and you drop your beat, right? In response, and kind of nullify for instance, a Reaper ultimate. Like, most of the time, your teammates should be able to get out when the Reaper is death blossoming and they have 500 HP, right? That's basically the counter. If you have 2 of those, now you can either just allow for the first Lucio to mess up, or you can use it aggressively too to get to create momentum. And momentum is very huge right now. And that's also why double Lucio is so good, because you have both auras at the time, and you can also potentially like double speed boost. So you have this speed for an extended period of time, and having like people charge at you at unexpected speeds is quite overwhelming. And most people play worse out of, defense or being pressured. Yeah, exactly. And it takes a lot of practice to get comfortable in these situations, right? So right now, pressure lineups are quite strong. That said, especially in the finals, I think we saw that double Lucio might not be the optimal way to go. In the European finals, IDDQD against... Jesus, that name, dude. Get a new name. Against Reunited. Like, Reunited stuck to double Lucio for the first King's Row and got crapped on by Zenyatta and Lucio, which is quite exciting, right? Yeah. Which was mainly because they just utilized the Discord orb better. Right?
I didn't watch the Europe. How did they deal with? Did they give Zenyatta any buff, or did they just deal with his squishiness, keep him way back, and just have him kind of like pick orbs as he could?
They just, I mean, they have sometimes Zarya, but he's not really,
Yeah.
Most of the time you want to have it on other people, and I guess there's Winston, which is also kind of protective. Yeah. I guess we should talk about Winston in a way, because I think he's quite, like, in a way, I think the combos that Winston and Zarya allow, because of how the shield mechanic works, or barrier, it's barrier, right?
Yeah.
That's what it's officially called, is quite awesome. Like it allows for these great mechanics to take place, less so for Reinhardt, and it basically allows for combos, right? So, for instance, I just wanted to point out some cool tricks that I saw. For instance, on the second map in the European tournament, Valo, who's the McCree player of Reunited, charged towards the opponent's Reinhardt, and it is on the last point, so on the last stage of the of King's Row, and he threw the flashbang over the shield. Now, disregarding that he actually failed to flashbang, given what he did, I'm pretty sure what works is you can throw a flashbang over the shield, right? So that then stuns the Reinhardt and disables the shield for a considerable amount of time. And then you can immediately, what's it called? Not High Noon. It's not like his ult from...
Yeah, everyone just like High Noon.
Yeah, exactly. And he immediately does that. And then one of his teammates drops a Winston Dome on him. Now he's immune to all the CC you could think of, right? I think even potentially a Genji Reflect wouldn't kill him, because that would also be...
The only thing that you could stop that with is a Reinhardt charge.
Something like... yeah.
But he's stunned.
Yeah. So the setup just of Winston doming people while they're ulting these powerful ultimates, and that's especially true for McCree, because Pharah doesn't work that well with that. Yeah, and I thought that combo, like, that was obviously something they practiced, right?
Yeah.
It is also because of the mechanic. What Reinhardt does is he would also protect the others from being ulted, but because he flashbanged, now he couldn't put his shield up. So that could have potentially resulted in a 4 or 5 kill, right?
The flashbang
but awesome.
Stun duration isn't too long, though, compared to Deadeye. I mean, I think he would get his shield up before Deadeye got off.
Yeah.
Maybe he could get some squishy characters with it. Maybe he was trying to get the healers, because it's not too long to get like 150 or 200 health person with Deadeye.
But if you get like a Zenyatta or a Mercy, if you get like 2 supports dead off of 1 flashbang, that's really good.
I think the setup is also that the flashbanged Reinhardt is then charged by your own Reinhardt. So he's completely out of the picture. I'm not sure if that should be quite easy, right?
Yeah.
And if we have this complexity of team fights, dude, the competitive depth of the game is open.
It's a lot. It's a lot more than just point and shoot. Like, there's so much to it.
That's a lot of execution, I guess would be the word, execution.
Yeah. Because I've seen just like in pub matches now where it's the most coordinated teams, but people they'll just get a Zarya ult and they'll just throw it, and then nobody else has an ultimate, and it's like, you just throw out a black hole. Like, we could have used that. And it goes along with like the people who run in just one by one and just die and die and die, and it's like, dude, group up. And it's gonna take a little bit for that like pub meta to start to form, whereas obviously competitive people are like, if you don't do this, you're gonna be benched. Like, there's a what's the word I'm looking, there's like plays, I guess there's like a playbook.
There's a play I saw in the tournament, which was on King's Row as well, the last point, where everybody's in the hallway, where you speed boost a Reaper as he's ulting, and then give him a Zarya shield, and he's like a lawnmower. He just lawnmows right through the team. That was pretty sick. Yep. And that's kind of like one of those group up execution type plays. You need the Reaper with the ult, you need the speed boost, and you need the Zarya to like the 3 pieces to come together to do that.
I think it's really weird for people to break that mentality of, because obviously I don't think in TF2, correct me, there's nothing like that. There's nothing really, no. Besides maybe like I can't remember the name of it, the healing buff that you give your like a heavy to make him invincible.
Yeah, there's those. The only sort of like thing you would rely on for like two or three more people to like synergize on
Yeah.
are juggles. You know, use use this character to juggle this character towards you, and then like the scout will clean it up or something like
Hmm.
that. That was the closest thing I can think of in that game.
Hmm. But for the rest of it, it's positioning and pointing and shooting. Whereas in this, there's a lot more of a MOBA mentality, and that's what drew
Mm.
me personally in. I like FPS, but I love MOBAs. And
Yeah.
like that combination of the two, once people start to get it, is gonna make the game even like more just ridiculously complex. And
It's
if they add more people, like I don't want them to add too many more characters, but if they do add more characters with enough different stuff, it's just gonna like compound on that.
What's funny is I remember when I first saw Overwatch and started seeing the characters come out, and I was like, "Oh, I can't wait to see some teams and make teams that do crazy things like two Winstons and a Bastion. You know, put the shields down, and the Bastion will deploy and like clean up the courtyard. Like, whoa, that would be cool." And then I thought about it later, and I was like, "There's no way that would work. That's too friggin' gimmicky." And you know, you just get DPS down because you know that's what happens in first-person shooter games. But here we are watching that crazy crap work and work
Hmm.
well. It's like that's what the game was meant to have, is like these crazy stupid strategies that are hard to break.
Yeah.
That said, it's a little bit more finesse than that, right? Like
Right,
these
of course.
strategies, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I really enjoy. Like this is some like Go Tanks level shit for those like fusion. Like
Yeah.
it's not forced synergy too. If you think about it, like I remember the feature that really sold me on Guild Wars 2 that didn't end up being that awesome was you could have synergies between classes. So one would put up like a poison cloud, and then others would shoot through it, and it would add additional abilities to the
Yeah.
spellcast. Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So and this like because it's so mechanic-y, it's basically it's not something where you say um, cool that you did that, but more like, dude, why didn't you put that up? It's more like a buff, basically, right? You when it's not up, you're like, that dude is totally not doing his job. In Overwatch, because the synergies are not as hard coded into the game, but more because of the implication of the strength of the different abilities.
It's creative.
Exactly, and I'm super excited to see what good teams will be able to come up with. Like now, like the Reinhardt example I gave, that's four people interacting with each other, right? Not that the other two aren't doing anything. It's
Mhm.
just that maybe for instance, if you had a Mercy on the back of this, what Mercy does is for McCree, his ultimate then locks on quicker. So maybe the duration
Does
of the
that work
flashbang.
like that?
Yeah,
Oh.
because it increases the damage, and basically the lock on
Huh.
time is basically the amount of damage you do.
Yeah.
And when you have a skull over the target, it dies, and that's why it takes longer for tanks for the the circle to come together.
So you
And
could legit be like, it's high, pew pew, and like get a bunch of guys that way.
not
Mhm.
that quickly, but yeah, pretty
Yeah.
close.
Huh.
And like maybe we have these strategies where everyone has like this master plan. It's more like a heist, basically, where they okay,
Yeah.
at this situation you do this, and then I do that, and the execution is just crisp, and that's where where the beauty really comes from. And
Yeah. I really kind of want to wait because there is gonna, it's I'm not saying there's, an endless hole of possibilities of like, different compositions, but I want it to be instead of kind of like a rock, paper, scissors, I want it to be like a rock, paper, scissors, shotgun, stick, boulder, tree. Like there's so many different like things that counter this, but you could switch teams to this to do this, and it's just like a back and forth in why they implemented the character swapping because it's they went A strategy, all right, we're gonna try B strategy against it, and back and forth that like consistent changing of putting up a wall and busting it down and putting up a wall and busting it down.
yeah,
I want to see a May wall with a high noon behind it, and then The
when
wall comes down.
drops.
He's ready. And I don't even. Would it even work that way? He needs line of sight for it to like, close in, right?
Side, sadly, yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe like a Pharah ult, maybe.
Ooh.
Or
that'd be kind of cool. You could set it up behind the wall. Get Pharah with a Zarya shield, and then put her in the bubble, and then pop it as soon as the wall comes down.
No, you do a Zarya black hole into, I don't even know what May's ultimate is called, but May ult, and then you just do a Hanzo all through it, and they're all dead.
They'd be all dead with just the Hanzo ult, anyways.
Yeah.
But they'd also be frozen.
Yeah, dude, they'd be frozen. They'd be dead popsicles.
Super dead.
Okay, I think we're kind of talking in circles and running out of stuff to talk about, so we can.
Can I share just one more cool thing that I saw in the tournament?
No.
Like, I thought that was also. I'm not sure if they actually like that. Doesn't take practice, but it was actually quite awesome on the fly thinking, because what they did was Reunited. So Volutaha, whatever, I don't know how it's pronounced.
Mm-hmm.
Is in the back of the point on King's Row, first capture point before the payload spawns, and he sets up an ultimate, and there's still people fighting also from his team, so everyone is kind of bound into this fight. So he thinks he's safe to ultimate with McCree, and Temu, who's at the time playing Reaper, sees this, and his reaction is not to start shooting at the McCree, because he knows he's not going to kill him in time. Mm-hmm. What he does is he Wraith forms, and when you notice what Wraith form does is it lifts Reaper up a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. So what he does is he stands in front of the McCree and obstructs the vision. And in that time, his Genji sets up a reflect, and he doesn't see that Genji is reflecting, and the McCree kills himself.
What the fuck, dude?
That was fucking awesome.
Not even. Was that in the European tournament?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I only watched the NA.
In the final of the NA second map.
I remember the reflect. I don't remember the Reaper doing that though. But that's pretty damn sick. That's awesome.
I'll have to rewatch that one.
He got like one kill, and then it queued over to the Genji, and then it like reflected back. He only got one kill, and he went down.
Yeah,
something like that. That's awesome.
And there was no hesitation in Temu's play, right? He sees McCree doing this, and he immediately shifts to him. There's like, other people on the point, which he could be fighting, but no, he shifts directly into the McCree. So I think that's what he was going for initially.
Masking his point of view.
Yeah.
What do you think about Genji now in competitive? He seems to be just tearing it up, especially on capture point. It seems like the capture point
survivable.
The capture point maps are like Genji playgrounds. That's what it looks like, and he just dances all over the place, kills whoever he wants, and gets away.
Yeah. There was some awesome Genji play that last weekend. Like, Ploppy from Eccentric, he had some 5 or 6, maybe aces in there. He was just going ham, like from target to target to target, like in rapid succession. And it was awesome to see. And I kind of, not to toot my horn here too much, but I kind of saw that coming, right? Even in the first beta wave, that at some point, this had to happen. This was bound to happen, that people get better at Genji, also simply because of the reflect mechanic, and then it just unlocks his potential, right? And I think both tournaments have shown that Genji has a real place in the meta right now.
I really hope they don't touch Genji. Like, he's not overpowered. Like, I can kill a Genji. He's just hard, like, to deal with.
Yeah. Maybe there's a little bit, like at the absolute top skill ceiling, maybe he's a little bit too good there.
Okay, but you don't want to, Blizz, I love you, but you're not good from you don't go from like 10 to 9. You go from like 10 to 5, and then we'll boost it back up slowly.
The Torbjörn case, right?
Yeah.
All right. So anybody got, let's see, Vulture, you got anything going on your channel or stream this
Uh,
week? You
yeah,
playing?
I'm doing some streaming a few nights a week, but I'm gonna be starting working on some videos of my own, like some science videos about one of the things we talked about this episode was like headshot hitboxes. I want to do some science with that, see really what's happening with hitboxes in the head and some other things, and share that and upload it eventually. So that's what I got going on.
For sure. Stay tuned to that, guys. Obviously, all our links are, I don't know if they're always in the description, but they are on the overlay. Um, and Yiska, do you have anything going on as far as videos go, or maybe an article that you're working on?
Yeah, I'm working on an article, but not ready to disclose the topic. But what I'm currently doing is like filming short clips of cool tricks I found out. So, for instance, jump channeling I had in there, and now I just uploaded one about the possibility to now jiggle peel corners against the turret, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is especially more potent because of the repair speed, which we also talked about. So that's basically what's happening on my channel right now. And maybe I'm going to record some better impressions too.
Okay. As far as I go, guys, I've been streaming a couple nights a week too, but I am just kind of working on playing with a group of people and trying to up my skill and just work on like my personal game right now. I have a few matches recorded. I have a few loot box videos recorded. Those going to be going up over the weekend. But other than that, really just focusing on playing. I'm just trying to just gather up all the information I can. So I feel like when I talk about the game, I know what I'm talking about. And I've been watching a lot of competitive too, and I've been trying to get into uh, like the statistics of the game as far as what exactly kills and stuff like that. But other than that, make sure that if you guys did enjoy the video, you do subscribe, you do like, and share it with anyone who you think would be interested in Overwatch. We're doing pretty well. We're getting, a starting community, and we have had a few appearances in the beta and on my stream of people saying, they love the show and stuff like that. And that type of stuff makes us feel real awesome, guys. It makes us feel like we actually are starting to get like a community together. Um, the more people that see our videos, it's kind of like a snowball effect. And I hope it grows. I hope it continues. And I hope you guys get into the beta very soon if you are not in. But from everyone here at Watchpoint, we will see you next week.